Hi Kamlesh, welcome to our podcast. Thank you so much for coming. So this is going to be our first English podcast today, and I'll tell you why we've started this podcast. Okay, we know that technological landscape is changing, and we know that probably after 5 years, the skills which are relevant today are not going to be relevant. But the human skills, the collaboration, the communication skills, so these skills are going to be relevant. So that is the reason we call industry experts to our podcast. Yeah. And they generally talk about what is the importance of having a communication skills in the corporate sector. Yeah. Whether you're working or whether you're going to be starting your own business and understanding the global market. So that is the reason we are calling people experts like you. So towards that, my first question is going to be, how was your childhood and how your education actually shaped you become a good professional right now the way you are?
Mhm. First of all, Rajesh, I'm really thankful to you for inviting me to this opportunity, for this podcast. Uh, I think it's one of those opportunities where we also get to create some impact with whatsoever we have done so far in our career. So really thankful to you first. Talking about my childhood days, I really have to go on my memory lane for this one. I think I have been always a very, very sincere, bright, and yet a mischievous student right from my school days. I remember being topper in my 8th, ninth, 10th standard. There have been a lot of different competitions which I have been part of since my childhood journey. You talk about sports, you talk about something like like cycling, which gives you a very sharp and subtle message that, slow and steady wins the race. Uh, I have been also actively involved in some of those competitions where you used to really memorize Bhagavad Gita adhyayas, like especially 12th and 15th ones. Uh, and those used to be the times where even at times you do not really understand the meaning of anything and everything.
Correct.
But you have those things in you right from your childhood. And those are some really good memories. I think this is primarily about my school life, which I can remember. But one of the thing which has been kind of engraved on my mind, and somebody who have made a remarkable impact on my mindset, you can say, is my family background, and especially my father, who have been coming from a very, very humble and very, very subtle background, where we have seen him doing the day in day out duties, especially when we used to run a transport business. I think he used to himself drive our tempos, and I have seen him doing multiple duties like day in day out, and he was always on my on my back when he used to tell me that, hey, you do whatever you want, you choose the career of your choice, whatever makes you feel passionate about. I think as long as you're going to be happy in what you're doing, just just choose it for you and just be at your best over there. He was very sure that whatever educational, especially, which he could not do or get at his point in time, I should definitely be on the top and get the best for myself. And that's where he played a very critical role in providing me all those opportunities way early in my career, school life. If I remember my 8th standard, I think I studied typically in the Marathi medium until my 10th standard. But after my 8th standard, he ensured that I am getting into something like spoken English classes where I will really understand at least the grammatical nuances of stuff. I repeated the same thing after my 10th standard as well. So before even I got into my junior college, he kind of ensured that I have got exposed to this world who is primarily working on this language, which is going to be very, very critical. So I think everything collectively has played a very critical role when it comes to me talking about my education, my childhood, my family background, and where I really come from. So yeah, that's how it
That
is.
is great. Thank you so much. And you talked about Bhagavad Gita. I think spiritual touch is there, but more than that, you also get a lot of inspiration by reading Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
And he also gave one lesson to our students, even if you come from a regional language medium, Marathi,
Yeah.
Hindi, whatever, you can still achieve success, because I
Yes.
know you're talking to people from across the globe. You
Yeah.
interact with them. You have worked with multinational companies.
Yeah.
Right. So that is really great. And that is an inspiration to our audience, because most of our audience is between the age of 17 till 25, 35.
Yeah.
Great.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So to talk about your college days, okay, how did your education has shaped you? Because you've done engineering first,
Yeah.
and then you've done MBA. And how did you get into recruitment? Because generally people after doing engineering, they get into technical stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but you chose the human resource part. So
Yeah.
how did you?
I think it's a very exciting yet unplanned journey of me getting into recruitment, and I would really want to go back to my engineering days first. So typically when you grow up in a middle class family, especially in Maharashtra or India, the obvious career choice is you doing engineering, because in and around your people, family, most of them, they know that, hey, now that you're done your 12th, just get into some of the engineering and then you will definitely have jobs.
Correct.
I think it somewhere started on those lanes. I started my engineering in 2009 when there was a global recession time, where everybody was running behind branches like core mechanical, civil, because IT was so unpredictable that time due to the obvious situations in the market. But I always had this, maybe it was too early to even think about those things, but somebody from my family used to work in US and they had some good IT jobs. So I was like, hey, if I have to get into engineering, I will only do computer science and IT engineering. It was an easy bet at that point in time to get admission because nobody was pursuing that. So I got into DY Patil College of Engineering, which is very nearby in Pune, where I stay. Uh, that's where I did my 4 years. But when you actually go through this journey, and of course, like you all enjoy your college life, you do your best what you can, and the seriousness or awareness at times about the career opportunities is not to the extent that it should be. Uh, but by the time I reached my final year of engineering, I kind of realized that this might not be something which I will be able to do for the rest of my life. Like, even if I was good at coding or maybe okay at, handling technical domain related stuff, that was not something which I was really enjoying. And apparently then I thought that I can try something like MBA eventually, which will add a different flavor to my career, where I then gave an examination called CMAT, which was the entrance examination when I was in my engineering. And that was again not with a full-fledged preparation. It was just another option which I was exploring just to get out of this technical zone and maybe in case I get some different opportunity.
Right.
So I got an admission in Indira University. Like, at that point in time, it used to called as Indira Global Business School. Uh, I think that was a game changer and very, very critical factor when I really talk about my educational background and my career. I think by that time I was very serious about what I really want to do in life. I was very clear about my SWOT analysis as well, that hey, this is something which I can do. These are my strengths. This is something which I really do not want to touch, and that's where I was very serious when I got into my MBA, and I was one of the topper in my MBA then of the batch. After my first year of MBA, then I was the first one among the HR students who got placed in one of the automobile company called Piaggio, and then the journey started. But I would really say the combination of having technical background like engineering and then you having a knowledge from the business acumen like MBA from one of the reputed university in Pune, like institute in Pune, I think it played a very critical role in adding the holistic combination on my profile, because when you work for any IT company or for that matter any business, having a domain expertise of how business runs, understanding the relevance of what people are writing on their profiles, Correct. And then you relating to that with your business acumen, I think that gives you more confidence as a recruitment professional.
Absolutely.
And you can read through CVs even more better.
Yeah.
I think collectively, education is something which has played a very critical role. And then there are a lot of people at the back end who have been very supportive. So
Great.
yeah, I'm really happy that I got to talk about this one.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. And that is very important. Nowadays, there are so many students, I guess they must be getting inspiration from you because they're doing engineering and they want to get into MBA and get into campus recruitment kind of a career.
Yeah.
Because if students know that they are good in communication skills and collaborating skills and networking,
Yeah.
probably this is the best career path for them also.
Yeah.
But depends on their strengths and weaknesses. But this is a good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You have a vast experience in university relations, campus recruitment. So, what are the early day challenges that you faced when you got into recruitment, and how did it actually shape your career in the future?
I want to really share about how I really got into my first job there, and that will probably eventually land me about how my early challenges were. So I was a part of placement cell in my college, in my MBA day, where we used to interact with some of the people sitting on the other side of the table, and I always had this thing from my past learnings that I am definitely going to make my career in HR, especially in the recruitment, because after my engineering days, there was one incident where a couple of companies came on campus in my engineering days, and I went till the group discussion round, and apparently it just did not work. And I had no idea about how it happened and why I did not get selected after the group discussion round. At times, we don't know as student where listening skill is equally important, those 80-20 rule at times. So I think that was very clear on my mind. That's where I proactively ensure that I'm going to be exposed to those right people way early in my college days itself. That's where I joined the placement cell. And then one fine day, there was this induction program in my institute where a vice president and a senior manager from my first company, then that time, was one of the chief guests who visited our college. And me being one of the placement coordinators in HR, there used to be this deputy director placements, Arpana ma'am. She kind of ensured that, hey, this is a nice opportunity for you. You go receive them and, take them to our campus. And I think I got that one additional hour as an MBA HR student in my first year with those two industry stalwarts, which was very, very undivided attention at that point in time, where informally, I think they could really read through the potential which probably I had at that point in time. And fast forward 6 months down the line, the company came actually on campus to hire management trainees in HR. They met few people, I was one of them, and they were really clear and subtle in the message that, hey, while we met all of these people, we really see the spark in this guy. We have already met this person 6 months back. This is going to be our person, and we really want to go ahead with that. So I think that's how my journey started. And it was clear opportunity which kind of knocked through the kind of effort which proactively we have taken and initially in those directions. Now coming to some of the challenges when you talk about your early career, I think especially when you come from this background where you do not have a real exposure to anybody working in corporate, with all due respect to everybody's background, right? I mean, not everybody gets those uh, guidance or inspirations or exposure in early days when you are in your college days or early jobs.
Right.
So I think in market intel was one of the things, that awareness about how the competition is working while you are into your first job. That was very, very big time thing for me. Then one of the skill which at times today also, even after 11 years of my career in HR and recruitment, I would still say that having a difficult conversation was one of the difficult thing, especially at the beginning of my career, when you know that somebody superior to you is making some point which probably as per you is maybe not right, but at times you will still have to follow some things, obey those orders, and it's still fine because you are way early in your career and you probably have to still take that learning path. I think those were like some of the lighter ones, but I would say being into the profession of recruitment, there used to be those small different experiences where somebody will say, hey, here is some letter from some politician and a reference, and then you just have to ensure that this person will get the job. And being a recruiter sitting at the back end, when you have 10 things at the back, will say CGPA criteria, these background, these projects, versus somebody coming on your way and just telling you that, hey, this person has worked in some political campaign, and then you just need to ensure that this guy will get a job.
Yeah.
So I think those were very difficult ones. And at times where you are the ground person on the hierarchy of the organization at the beginning of your career, at times you work on certain projects with no exposure to the holistic scenarios, and then something changes at the top, and then half of the your work at times is gone in the air, and then you have no context why it is. At times, I think those are some very, very real challenges, I would say. But I think it is very, very natural and practical at times. I do not really blame any of the ecosystem. I think it's possible and natural in any of the businesses. But I think it's just about you sticking to it, believing in yourself, and still keeping your journey on. So I do not really look at them as challenges. I would still say that those were some of the learnings, I would say, at the beginning of my career, which kind of helped me adapting myself as a leader eventually. Thanks.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good advice for the youngsters,
Yeah.
students as well as professionals. Okay. And since I'm also from recruitment is very close to my heart.
Yeah.
And I know that generally to scale any business, recruitment is one department which actually works very hard
Yeah.
to make sure that they hire right people, right talent, and to help organizations scale from 0 to 10, right? So that's great. Okay. So nowadays, whenever I am visiting colleges, and recently I had visited colleges in Solapur, I was talking to them about the future of jobs in IT industry. They were not interested to talk about the technology as such because they know everything through the internet and things they are on YouTube. But they were really interested to talk about how to crack the campus interviews.
Okay.
So you must have hired more than 1,000 students in your career, right? So what are the common mistakes that students do when they get the rejections in the campus interviews?
I think this question and this topic is very close to my heart as well, because that's where somewhere my journey started as student, where I did not really know what went wrong, and then some of the common mistakes at times what we do. I would really factor in into multiple points. First, very basic things. At times we just write something which we are not, or which we have not done on our profile as a student, just because it worked for somebody else. One of my personal experience, again, some telephonic interview as a student early in my career, I replicated somebody's CV as a student, and including the objective, career objective as well. And out of the box, nowhere, the person on the telephonic interview asked me, elaborate your career objective. And I have absolutely no idea. I had absolutely no idea at that point in time about, what that was. And then it was some 3-liner thing. And there was this 20-30 second pause, which was very, very self-explanatory at times.
Correct.
That this is not something which is coming, straight from me, and it is not something genuine. So I would say one of the things which people really go wrong in preparing their resumes and writing something which they have not done. I think you just need to be really yourself as a student, and do not present anything above and beyond than what you have not done. That is one thing. Secondly, one size fits all approach is not something which works in any fresh grad, for that matter, in any job, I would say, when you are really seeking opportunities. At the campuses, there is just not one company which is coming. So as a student, a lot of time it happens is that irrespective of 50 company coming on campus, I will have my one profile, one strategic approach in the way I am doing things. And that does not really go well, because every company will have their different requirement, the expectation from the role can be different, the background of the company is different, and there is something called as personality job fit in our HR terminologies. So not every person can be fit for every job. So you really need to know your SWOT analysis, present yourself accordingly so that you can be more relatable and relevant to those companies or those recruiters. That's second thing which I would really say, that people preparing themselves company wise would make more sense to them.
Okay.
I think that's one of the things which students do as one of the common mistakes, where they just try to prepare generically because hey, I will just study oops concepts, I will just do one of these things, and they completely lose on the background of the company, the business, and the expectation from the role. So that's second thing. And there is this third very important thing which I'm going to talk about, which I have seen and I have talked in many of my interactions and sessions for students. So typically there are three factors which play a very critical role when students make their career choices. One is the location in which they are going to opt for a job. Another is salary which they are getting and in their first job. And the third factor is the role in which they are gonna get into, right? Or maybe you can say the brand in which they are gonna get into. So a lot of times what happens, people really have the clear priorities that hey, below 10 lakhs in my initial job, I will not apply initially. Or maybe I would really only want to work in Pune, otherwise I will not take my any other job. I would only want to work for certain top brands, Big Four, whatsoever you say, or I will not start my career. And that is something which go really, really wrong when it comes to you making those choices at the beginning of your career.
Absolutely.
And the way I have really looked at it, and honestly, it has something, this is my personal solution to this problem, and maybe as part of my guidance to students, that it's a triangular thing, the way I am looking at it, like, location, salary, and brand. At the beginning of your career in your first job, if you are getting either of the two things as per your choice, I'm not saying that you do not have your preferences. You definitely are, we all are human beings. We will have our priorities, family backgrounds, and everything. But in your first job, if you're really going to have either of these two things, if you have a location of your choice, say you're going to get job in your hometown, and if you are getting a good salary, then you do not have to really worry about the good brand at the beginning. It's still fine if you start with something which is, SME at the moment, and eventually it will be one of the company which will evolve, or probably you will get into something what you want eventually, but at least you're getting the location and the salary. Other way around, if you will look at the other two parts now, if you're still getting location of your choice, you're getting a good brand, but the salary is something which is not as per your expectations.
Correct.
There is no leader in the industry today who have started on a similar salary what they're getting today, right? Exactly. At some point in time, they have still worked on a very minimalistic salaries.
Absolutely.
If I will start, give an example, like 11 years back, my first salary as an, like during my internship, it was just 5,000 stipend, but I was hardly getting some 15,000 in my first job when I joined as a management trainee. And that was fine, because today when you walk that journey with learnings, eventually you earn them, right? So that's fine. So that was about the second equation. And the third thing, right? You're getting a brand, you're getting a salary, but you have to leave your home.
Correct.
That's fine. I think as a student, if you're getting an opportunity in your first job, which is kind of adhering to a couple of choices which you have and preferences you have, eventually 1 or 2 years down the line, the third thing will naturally come. And this is my personal reading and formula which I have, broken through for this, students.
Correct.
You will not find it anywhere.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think those are some of the common mistakes which people do, especially at the beginning of their career, where they're really wanting everything at the beginning, and they end up getting a big gap on their profiles. Like after completing their engineering or times their MBA, they still keep waiting for these things. And then there is 6 months, there is 1 year, and they're nowhere in market. And then justifying that job gap becomes even a bigger problem. And having that mental pressure that, say, some of my peers have already started their careers, they're 1 year ahead, they already started earning, even if that was small. All of this thing come together. I don't think that should be really an approach. And those are some of the common mistakes which people do at the beginning of their career, which they really should not, is what I personally feel.
perfect. That's a nice guidance basically for the students.
Yeah.
I'm also into recruitment. I run my recruitment company. So I see a lot of students come to me with 2 years, 3 years gap in
Yeah.
their resume.
Yeah.
Earlier, they wanting to get into brands, okay, looking for the salaries. Now they have a gap.
Yeah.
Now they're saying, we don't want money. You
Correct.
only want experience.
I agree.
And basically, we have freshers already onboarded. You cannot hire them because they already have the gap.
Correct.
Some students are ready to pay also
Yeah.
to get the experience later, and that is worsening. So this is a good advice that start early.
Yeah.
Whatever you are getting right now, getting a experience is important.
Yeah.
And then salary will eventually follow.
Correct.
That's nice. Okay. So there is one challenge which is common. It was there in our era also.
Mm-hmm.
There was always a confusion between choosing the passion versus the job or the career, the specialization part of it. When parents are talking about choosing the specialization for their children while doing the engineering or MBA.
Yeah.
But students want to do something else because whenever I go to my family thing, students who are wanting to get into MBA or engineering, they are still confused what specialization to choose because you're talking to a lot of students, you're traveling across India and globe also.
Yeah.
And talking to university people. So what is your take on that? How students should choose their specialization? Do you have any suggestions on that?
Yeah. It's a very interesting topic, especially in a country like ours. Everything together plays a very critical role when it comes to students choosing their specialization. And when I say everything, it is their mentors which they are getting in their colleges. It is their seniors at times who have made some good careers by making some choices which they are relating to.
Correct.
It can be the family pressure or family background because somebody has some success story in the family which has really worked for them. So they're just kind of forced or pressurized at times to do something similar. And at times the job opportunities in market might be a very critical, especially in the MBA days and when you are in your college final years where most of the companies are gone and the after first year when you see, I think those makes a very critical impact on your choices. I would really say passion is good part. Like you definitely need to make your career only if you're passionate about something, and that's what I have chosen. I really want to give a small background or story here. There are some people. I think I was in a similar scenario when I was after my first year of MBA. So when you do your MBA, you still have a choice until you do your first year to choose your specialization of masters. Uh, Coming from the family background where I used to come from, getting a job was ultra critical for me now after doing my MBA, and most of the job opportunities in market or companies coming on campus were very, very marketing and sales related, jobs. And even if you look at the intake of the batch size, if I was of batch size say 95 among my MBA, there were only 7 students who have taken HR. 5 out of them were female candidates. So I think it is also the surrounding which was kind of putting that pressure that if you will not do this, there is a very good chance that you will not get a job. And there were very few people, like one of our HR professor or now the head of department in HR. It used to be this professor Rajasri ma'am. I just remember the name, and then she was very clear that, hey Kamlesh, if you are really passionate about HR, if you are really sure that this is the space you really want to get into, I think there is a utmost amount of clarity which you have now, then you should just go about it. Sooner or later, you will still get into the job. That's still fine. But if you will get into something which you do not really like, just for getting some initial opportunity, you might not be able to survive in that or maybe perform the way probably the competition is working in market. That was one of the thing. There used to be also one seasoned industry professional. I think this guy's name was Avnish or something. And he had joined our institute as a student again after working for so many years in the industry because the full-time master's plays some role. And then purely experience in HR, but then eventually he still thought that we still need to complete the full-time graduation, like the master's. And somebody coming from the recruitment and industry background, and then he becoming a mentor, and he was like, Kamlesh, I have seen the other side of the table. If you really are passionate about this, and if you're only worried about the first job, it was more of that verbal confirmation that, I don't think it's going to be that big deal. We'll figure it out. You go about it. I think those are some small, incidents which gives you very, very clear indication that I think you just really need to follow what you really want to do or you have passion for. But at the same time, I would say when it comes to we choosing it, just passion will not work. I would say passion plus ability or your own clarity about what you can really bring on the table makes a huge difference, and that is what should play a role when you're actually making a career choice. Because in engineering, when I used to do a group project, I used to contribute. It's not that I was not working there, but when it comes to me presenting it to the professors, I was presenting it way better than what somebody who have coded. So my strengths was something different. And I think it was more about my people interactions, the way I network with people. I think those connects were very different, and that's where I thought maybe I'm a better fit for something like, MBA. And then even in MBA, when something is revolving about people, which is HR function, I think it was a clear choice for me. And that's for now coming back to the question again, where how people should choose. I think it's purely basis what they're passionate about. I think opportunities and jobs in market. See, nobody I have seen that, who have done their career or, masters or engineering whatsoever and are jobless for like 5 years. No. Like literally it is unrealistic that some other opportunities will keep coming your way, and sooner or later you will still start your career. But please choose wisely, because that's going to be like remaining 40 years of your life you're going to keep investing and working on. So yeah, that's going to be my clear advice.
Correct. So finding your passion and finding your strength is very important while choosing the career and specialization.
Yeah.
And one more advice I give to the students is, nowadays you have all the internet. You can connect with people. You can do research about what are the industries which are going to be coming big way in the future, and probably you can choose the specialization accordingly. And get onto a LinkedIn platform. There are so many platforms. So LinkedIn I prefer because then all the professionals are there.
Correct.
You choose you can make the connections with people, talk to them. There are people there open. They're ready to mentor you basically around your interest and your specialization.
Correct.
And that's how you choose your career. So, and then your parents also would be happy if you talk to your parents in a way that, this is what the industry is probably, get big in the future, and I'm choosing this specialization. So everybody would be on the same page.
I agree.
Right? Okay. So next topic, it is very close to my heart. So I remember my first job, my mentor and who hired me, Rajendra Raut sir. He used to tell me always that work on your communication skills and networking skills, then only you will grow in this business. Okay. So what do you think? Communication skills are still relevant and important to grow in job or in business? What is your take on that?
I think you mentioned very important two words, communication and networking. I would say both of them are very, very critical to any business. I would emphasize on one of them each. When you talk about communication, I think the definition of communication keeps changing with reference to time. As a student who is sitting in the campuses, communication can be different, the angle is different.
Correct.
For somebody who is working in the industry, the communication is different. But it has multiple aspects, like one is the verbal communication, another is written communication. It can be some form of negotiation. It is your body language as well.
Absolutely.
And then finally the verbose, right? About what you're actually and exactly talking about. I think somewhere in my B school, I had learned this, and I still follow, and I really, really admire whatever this theory is, that communication is 55% body language
Correct.
38% tonality with which you talk, and it is just 7% words.
Absolutely.
So it is about how you are sitting, it's about what your body language is, it is about what tone you're, how you're modulating your tone, and then what you're talking makes a very minimalistic amount of difference. And this is applicable across, like this formula or whatever this equation is. I think this is applicable across. And I have seen this making a very larger impacts, as long as you know that what is your target audience, who are you communicating with, whether it is a one-on-one setup, whether you're talking to somebody at a leadership level in your firm or somebody at the ground staff. I think how you are changing your modulation and how you're talking makes a huge difference in the communication. And as a student, at times also, when you're sitting in the interview, I think understanding the why behind every question and then communicating things properly is very important. So I think in all aspects, it's important and it plays a very critical role. That's more about the piece of communication, and we can talk as much as we want on this piece, because this is something which is like an open-ended conversation topic. Another which is now very close to me is networking. I think half of, or more than half of my career, I really own to my network, I would say. I'm personally believer of this fact that your network can give you anything which you want in life, like literally anything.
Absolutely.
Be it your career, be it anything which you want in terms of opportunity, be it any kind of help, and then it is still going to come from your network, right?
Correct.
It can be as easy as at some midnight hour you want to call somebody for a legal help. If you have somebody
Absolutely.
who is in your friend circle and is a good lawyer, your network is helping you, right? It can be doctor, it can be lawyer, it can be any engineer, it can be any tech thing, it can be any career related advice, it can be somebody finding a job. I think in as many words, I would say your network is your net worth, and that is something which is a very clear formula which I have seen. I would really want to talk about this community which I happen to run, being a part of, leading, you can say, with some of the co-leading people from the community. So we have this thing called as campus community in India, where almost 1,000+ campus recruitment leaders in India are on one platform which we have got, and it is purely with an intent to share best ideas, best practices, what different industries are doing. We keep meeting each other frequently in the different parts of India. We have those get-togethers, and may not be always related to business. At times it are like, these are informal conversations about how things are working in your world and those kind of setups. But imagine you have 1,000 people from your domain which are available to you on one click for any and every kind of guidance, support, help. I think that's a tremendous power which a network can create for you.
Absolutely.
And on a similar notes, it can find, we talked about LinkedIn, right? As long as you have some right set of people which are within your network on social media,
Correct.
if you're rightly following some of those people, I think those can open enormously high an amount of avenues for you.
Absolutely.
Be it in the form of business, be it in the form of jobs, be it referring somebody for anything else. I think some of my good jobs I have got through a network itself. I would say only my initial couple of them came through me applying and then somebody approaching me.
Yeah.
But then eventually we all know that network works, referral works. At times there will be opportunities which you will not find even posted on any job platforms.
Correct.
And you will just randomly see someday, hey, Rajesh joined as this and this company.
Correct.
I think that's how the network works, and the power is infinite in the network.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is very important. Yeah. And I guess when you're part of the community, when there are strong people,
Yeah.
your communication also improves.
100%. Yeah.
Talking to them, listening from them, and then also looking at their behavior, because there are so many leaders also, I'm sure, part of the community, right?
Yeah.
They come and talk to you, so you learn from their body languages.
For sure.
Yeah, I guess that is one of the reason why companies are choosing the offline business model nowadays rather than work from home.
Yeah.
Because you see the leaders and you learn from them.
I agree. I work for a company which is like 5 days mandatorily working, and I think I'm really proud to be a part of the story there, because when you are in office, when you're spending time with people, you feel the energy.
Correct.
You can observe people, and especially people who are early in their career, they can really just learn by observing. Like, it may not have to be in the form of writing and me taking notes. I think it's just about how we are,
Correct.
imbibing that things.
Correct. I guess this is very important for our audience. So communication skills is going to be relevant no
Yeah.
matter what technology
sure.
comes in.
100%.
So great. Thank you. Break the weather.
Sure.
Action. Okay. So till now you've talked about basically how to guide the students,
Yeah.
how to choose the right career path and everything. Now I wanted to ask you one question.
Mhm.
Basically, who all are the people basically who helped you, shape your career in your journey? Do you want to thank them? Do you have any names?
Yeah. I think I'm privileged that you have this question for me. Uh, I really have few 2-3 names which are like really on top of my mind, who have played a very important and key role in my career. One definitely goes without say, my first boss in my career. Her name is Pooja Bansal. She used to be I think assistant general manager when in HR when I joined my first job, and I still look at her as one of the person with the utmost amount of perfection which she used to have, and she used to eventually expect it from me as well, being one of her team member. I think the kind of inputs which I have got from her at the beginning of my career, that understanding the why behind things is very important, and having a holistic picture, and no matter whatsoever level you are at, even if you're junior most person on the team, you should be bold enough to raise your voice and still be confident on the table. I think some of those inputs were very, very helpful at the beginning of my career, so I definitely have very high gratitude for her, and will always be thankful to her for whatsoever she has helped me and groomed me in my initial career. Second person I would want to talk about is Gaurav. So Gaurav Gujral used to be one of my leader in recruitment in my company called Veritas, where I spent almost 4 years, and I used to lead campus recruitment over there. So he was a kind of mentor. He was like very, very straightforward. At times you will feel that he's being hard on you, but when one of the incident which I really remember, when we were preparing some presentation, and he asked me to come back on 10 different versions of that, like these change, those inputs, and we need to do this too, and all of those things. But eventually when you look back, I think these are those people who have really kind of put into the situation where you really think out of the box and you be at your best.
Correct.
And I would always be thankful to him for the kind of attention to detail thing which he taught me. And that gives me a very good confidence even today when I sit at any of the tables. I would still say that, hey, can there be any other perspective to this rather than just the obvious thought?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's what I really learned from Gaurav, and I would always be thankful to him. Uh, and then there's this person called, we used to call him Reddy. Uh, in Disha, I used to report to a person called Arjun Reddy. So he's one of the coolest and kindest boss which I have ever had, I would really say. It was a very short stint, but I would always be thankful to him for teaching me the fact, or maybe how best you can manage your team members. It's okay to make mistakes. And that's what I have learned from him, that uh, you can be at your kindest of the version and still manage the team, no matter how much so ever, at times they are doing mistakes, things might go wrong. Even today, any of my team members and some of my past experiences also, I still try my level best that I will not create an environment and I will not probably end up shouting on people for any kind of mistakes which they have done, because we all are human beings. As long as there is no matter of life and death, it's still fine. And I think that's something which is a very, very good thing which I learned from Reddy, and I will always be, grateful to him again. Yeah, these are some of the people which are top of my mind, and I'm really going to be thankful to them, who have kind of, in a way, shaped my career and my mindset. When I I have reached what position I am today.
Great. And this is a great learning for me also, and I'm sure for my audience.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so there is one more question. So you learn small nuances from your bosses, basically.
Yeah.
Which actually helps you grow in your career. Okay. What
Yeah.
are the small things that you've learned, because which are not taught in colleges nor in the corporate presentations?
Yeah.
So would you like to shed some light in that?
Yeah, I think there are going to be these things which you will absolutely not find in any of the books, but those play a very critical role in your day to day. Something as small as not everything requires immediate attention, or maybe not everything requires immediate response. I would say not everything requires immediate response would be more ideal than attention, because attention is critical. But why I say this is that, especially when you're early in your career, you really have those situations where you are having that urge to respond immediately to certain emails, or give it back to somebody in the similar meeting where you are sitting and not agreeing to some opinion of somebody. I think it's very important to give it a time, process things, maybe at times sleep over it, and then you can probably come up with a better response, or maybe at times not reacting.
Correct.
It's still fine. I think that's one of the learning which has come out after so many years I have spent in the industry. That's one which I would really say that people should, especially in the early career, if they can get some good insights about this one. Secondly, I personally am a firm believer that I do not attend any meeting unless I am ready or prepared for it.
Okay.
So there can be few impromptu situations where you are called in some, but I prefer to be prepared. I prefer to be ready for any and every conversation and meeting I am being a part of, which means I need to have a full context and the expectations and holistic picture, so that I can contribute and give my best. Otherwise, I have an opinion that if you are not going to be contributing to any of the meeting, there is no reason for you to be there then.
Correct.
Like I hardly remember any meeting in my career that if I have attended a meeting and I have not, unless it's some webinar kind of a thing, I have not contributed or I have not talked on that meeting. No, that's not happening. So I think that's one of the small learning which I again have, those small nuances when you talk about them. And something else which I really want to mention here is also about having those difficult conversations and having that boldness to have those difficult conversations, especially when you talk to your superiors. I think nobody is going to teach you that in a realistic setup.
Correct.
There are some articles which I learned in my MBA days that it's a very heavy term, but then they say that how to manage your bosses. It's a Harvard Business Review article that how you really have to manage at times yourself, so that you can manage the conversations and the relationship with which you have with your boss and superiors, because at times you have those thin lines which stop you, or have those mental barriers that do I or do I not talk to talk about this thing to my boss. I think those are some relevant content or articles which at times you can go through, which are going to be really helpful in order to managing those nuances.
Correct.
I think these are few top of my mind items which I can think about.
Thank you so much. These are very insightful
Yep.
learnings for us. Great. So I know you since I guess last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
The kind of clarity of thought you carry is amazing, and I learned so many things from you. So to get the clarity of thought, I personally feel that, because I come from that background, the spiritual background.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who is little spiritual or who follows the spirituality,
Yeah.
they have a good clarity of thought. That is my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Like spiritually brings the clarity of thought in us.
Yes. I think I'm a strong devotee of Lord Shiva. And when you talk about spirituality and, belief in few things and energies, I think it definitely plays a very critical role, and it gives you a very high amount of confidence and clarity of thoughts. Uh, as we talk today, along with, so I have twins who are like 2.5 years old now almost. So with my parents, my wife, and both of my children, until today as we talk, we have covered 8 Jyotirlingas out of 12.
Wow.
And we are already on our way in December for the remaining 2, and then maybe next year too we'll figure it out how it goes. So this is something which is a different passion which I personally follow, which gives you at times that humbleness and the groundedness at the back, and really keeps you, it keeps your feet on ground while no matter what level you're reaching, whatever you're achieving in career. I think having that clarity at the back that, the universe is so huge that you're just smallest part of that. And the earlier you have this clarity, all you will say at the end of the day that, hey guys, I just need blessings and nothing else at the end of the day.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm a very firm believer of, getting that, spiritual levels or whatever thought clarity you can say if you are, going to be on those paths.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's nice. So being spiritual is very important. When
Yeah.
you're a corporate setup, basically, where you work with multiple people.
Yeah.
Multiple people have their different thoughts, their imagination, and to handle them, you actually need to have good clarity of thought.
Yeah.
That's important. Great. I guess now we are coming to a last part of our sing podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where we'll talk about the fun facts or the kind of books you like reading.
Okay.
And what are the insights that you've got from your books? Do you have any favorite books from your library?
I would say I'm not really a vivid reader, but there is this one book which has been on my mind, which I have read during early in my career. It was suggested to us from one of our institute director, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
I've got great insights today from this discussion. So, what is your one advice to the youngsters today?
If I have to give one advice to the youngsters, I would really say there is a huge power in manifesting things. Whatever I have achieved so far today is something which I was manifesting a year back. I would say everything happens twice, once in a mind, once in a reality. So keep manifesting, and eventually you'll definitely be able to achieve that. So that is something which I'm very, very firmly believing, and that's where this book, and I think first things first, and there are many other habits which are mentioned in that book, which are equally powerful and critical. And I really want to talk about that book. So anybody, especially who are, early in their career, even at some point in corporate life as well, if you will really get an opportunity to read through this book, I think it's going to be really helpful, because when you say that you are very effective in the way you are operating, at times making a mark with whatever background you carry,
Correct.
I think these are some of the habits which play a very critical role when you talk about, how you are shaping your careers.
Correct. Reading books is going to be relevant even if AI comes in.
Yeah.
And you have online content. So
No,
it's
for
very
sure.
important.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of digital content nowadays is taking a space. At times people have those digital devices where they still read through that. But yeah, I think I do agree what you're saying.
you also covered one more point, which is about manifestation.
Yeah.
Whatever you think, it comes to reality. Actually, you're thinking a lot about it and you
100%.
want it,
Yeah.
100%. Whatever is happening in my life today,
Yeah.
it was manifested 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I used to think about it, about the podcast, having business, everything.
Wow.
And now I'm meeting the similar kind of people.
Yeah.
And this is reality. I'm doing the podcast.
Yeah. That's the power of manifestation, right? I think I would also to some extent agree with this fact, right? Today, the kind of life I'm living, the kind of opportunities which I'm getting, or maybe there are some tables at which I am sitting, which at some point in time were even beyond imagination, but then I was still manifesting for them. And then today, with our efforts, with some right guidance and, with some right network, you are still, getting there. So yeah, I think there's a tremendous power there.
Great. Thank you so much, Kamlesh, for giving your valuable time and giving the insights basically to how you shape your career in the, whatever you're in business, you're in job and whatever. I mean, these were very insightful learnings that you gave us. Thank you so much for coming here. And I'm sure our audience will help from these conversations.
Yeah. No, thank you, Rajesh, for having me here. I'm really happy that we did this today, and we really look forward to continuously keep in touch. Thank you.
And it was great talking to you. Thanks again from depth of my heart. Thanks.
No, it was my pleasure being here, Rajesh. Thank you for inviting me today, and I really enjoyed this one. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, thanks.